We're back. Actually, I have to say we've taken we took a week off by total my fault, but I had a number of people asking me when we do the next pod. So it's pretty good, right?
Oh, we had a listener, Ethan in Indianapolis, reach out, wonder when the next pod is. So shout out,
Even my
Ethan.
wife was like, "You haven't recorded a pod in a while." I'm like, "All right."
I know my wife just yelled down to me, "Can you bring the twins some water?" I go, I got to record. You're gonna have to
Recording.
come down
I
and get
record
the
for me
glass of
too.
water.
I'm on camera, babe.
Let's start golf. Let's just dive right into it. We'll start
Golf.
rollback.
Who knew there'd be so much to talk about on December 5th in the golf world? But yeah, lots going
Not to
on.
mention Grant Thornton this week. We can get into picks later.
PNC
But
coming
all right,
up.
rollback. Couple things in the rollback. I'll start.
Yes.
Okay, we can get into the rollback of the ball. But if it's that big of a concern that these guys are getting too good for the length of the courses and they can't lengthen them anymore, why not just remove driver from the bag instead of rolling the ball back? Is my suggestion. You're allowed 14 clubs. How about no driver allowed?
Well, so yeah, so what do you define as a driver?
I
Like,
mean,
if you take the driver out, then the three wood's a driver.
yeah,
I've heard crazy things like make a no tees, right? So if you go no tees, which would never happen, then
yeah,
you couldn't have these big drivers with the high center of gravity. You'd have to
yeah,
go more like three wood profiles, but that's kind of silly because you can't take tees out of it. But you're basically saying like you gotta rein the driver head in and make it more like a three wood.
yeah. That's what instead of rolling the ball back. And
Yeah.
then we've talked about this too. Besides the majors, to generate interest, because I think the elevated fields is going to die down interest this year because it's the same thing over and over again. Why not do crazier formats like, hey, this tournament's irons only, no woods.
Oh,
You know,
just
no,
like
I'm not saying for the major. I'm just saying for like the John Deere. You know,
yeah.
think outside the box. Because are you in favor of the rollback? Because I'm not.
Oh, I couldn't care less. I think that what they should do is bifurcation, and it's only because like Titleist and all these guys make so much money off of selling equipment that like, and they basically run the sport behind the scenes,
Yeah,
that like bifurcation doesn't happen. Like you can have metal bats in college and wooden bats in the pros because no one's. I don't think there's really bat money flowing around, right? Like no one really
right.
cares. But like it makes total sense to roll it back because like what they're talking about, I don't understand why there's such an outrage from like me or you or like any the recreational golfer will see absolutely zero effect in this, and you know why? I play with a whole bunch of different guys. None of them have like optimized the ball. That none of them play like Pro V1s all the time. They're playing whatever's in the bag. So you're
Right.
already playing something that isn't like getting every yard out of what you can do. Not to mention, only the pros are like, yeah, I carry my driver 286 yards, and that happens all the time, right? It's like some
Yeah.
guy if you say like, hey, you hit that one 5 yards shorter, it's like, how the hell would they know?
Yeah, one
Right.
time I
And
hit my
and
7 iron 170, so I'm going to pull it out here over water going 170.
yeah. Well, and the manufacturers, right? Like the 7 iron now is a 5 iron from 20 years ago because they just
Yeah,
lengthen them and then they just turn down the degrees a little bit. So they're already juicing what you think you're hitting variety distances. So
yeah,
literally, like the club manufacturers, if they just took every iron and decreased the loft by a degree, it would offset anything. So you'd be like, oh, I can still hit my 7 iron, whatever, 170 yards. But yeah, I think it's completely idiotic that they don't just do a bifurcation because then you could rein in. It'd be so cool if like Augusta was still playing like the proportions that like it should be played,
yeah.
right? Like Tiger was the first one that was hitting it down these slopes and having like 120 yards in on par fives, but
Right.
like but that was how like somehow Augusta held up for 70 years or whatever it was, and then they had to like totally revamp it. But yeah,
Or
like
or make the courses harder. Like
sure,
more if you miss the green, you're screwed type of shots for
yeah, I
pros,
mean like
not amateur.
the pros are just the pros are so good that the only thing you can do is rein in like the equipment a little bit because
Shorten the fairways.
when you're talking about we're talking about a 5% rollback on like a Pro V1, all that is going back to like the 2012 model of the Pro V1, right? It's like these guys are
Right.
like, oh, how could I ever do it? It's like we're not even going to go back to the equipment that you played like college golf with. Like we're going to go to like the equipment that you were playing like 6 years ago, and that's it. Like the ball.
I
Like
don't
who
know what they're
cares?
doing. Who like why? Why? Like, was there really this outrage from the community of fans and ratings, like calling for this? Who was calling for this?
Oh, I love that we're not on the same page with this. I've been calling for this for so long. I think it's
For a
crazy.
rollback?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've been calling for harder courses. Make missing the fairway a real penalty.
No, the balls and the clubs have gotten way too good for these guys. Like I totally think that the pros should have like 400cc heads and should roll the ball back. Like I shouldn't, right? Because like I can hit it pretty far, but it goes all over the place. Like it's not the equipment, right? Like I can optimize that stuff, but I still like hit it out of bounds. But like these guys, like the reason why I got into watching golf was Tiger Woods was not a fairways and greens guy, right? Go and look on YouTube and look like Tiger Woods.
Bubba Golf, Phil.
Well, no, like they had Tiger Woods highlights, Phil Mickelson highlights. It's them from other fairways. It's them in the rough. It's like when Tiger's going down, you're like, he could
Tiger,
pipe
the
it a little
RBC
better.
shot out of the bunker over the water.
Yeah, it's like it was more entertaining when you were like, I'm not sure if he's gonna hit it straight. And part of that was because he was playing these shitty like Nike clubs because they were paying him $100 million a year. Like I've hit some of the I used to hit those clubs he was playing with in like 2001. They were
Yeah.
so fucking awful. He should have just like played persimmon, right? And he probably would have been 10 times straighter if he played TaylorMade or Titleist back in the day. So I think it's become way too predictable. Like when Rahm was coming down the stretch of the Masters, it's like, well, he's gonna hit that like high peeler cut 320, like, and then he's gonna have a
Yeah.
wedge in his hand. It like takes the drama out because like these guys are so dialed in and like can optimize everything, and like 350, like it doesn't mean anything. I liked having. I feel like baseball's got a 100-mile-an-hour pitch, right? You know, if it's like 101, that's fucking fast, right? And up until like 2005, if you hit it over 300, it just felt like, oh man, over 300, that was a big drive by John Daly, right? Because everyone else was hitting like 290.
Yeah.
And it just like, it, I like having those nice like
Yeah.
benchmarks. Not
Harrison English
like,
hits at 290 now.
yeah, it's like, okay, and here he just hit it 370. It's like, okay, cool. No, you got to roll it back. Oh, I would take it all the way back. You know the story of Tiger at
But why? Sorry to cut you off, but why roll it back for amateurs?
that's what I'm saying, bifurcation.
Yeah, no,
It
but they're
was,
not doing that.
yeah, they're not doing it because the manufacturers pushed back and they were like, we don't want to spend R&D on making amateur balls and pro balls.
I'm gonna spend so much money buying up the last of these balls.
By the way, you have 7 years to do it. Like everyone's freaking
Yeah,
out.
not
And
right
then
now.
it's like some 35-year-old like PGA Tour mule is like, I can't believe they're rolling the ball back. It's like, dude, you will be retired. You will not be on tour when this actually happens. Like, don't worry about it, guy. But
Yeah,
no, the ball. So Tiger at Pebble Beach in 2000, right?
yeah.
Do you know about his golf ball?
How he only had one ball left in his bag. That one, that story.
No. So that was the time when everyone was still playing a wound ball. So everyone was playing like the Titleist Professional 90 or whatever it was called, right? And that was like the tour standard. And then Tiger had this guy who was like the R&D guy from like Bridgestone or whatever. Eventually came over to Nike, but he developed what was basically the same concept for the Pro V1, which is this like it's a solid core ball and it can make the driver go one thing but also spin or whatever. And so I guess they like it was under top secret lock and key. He put it in his bag at some tournament in like the BMW in like some European tournament like right before the US Open, and he won by like 10 shots. And you can like look it up, and he's basically like, this ball like doesn't move. Like I can't curve this ball. It just goes fucking straight. So he put it in the bag. And if you look, it's basically he won the US Open
Yeah.
in those wins because everyone else was playing with this soft, wound, spinny ball. And he had this prototype Nike ball that was the Pro V1 playing against like these wound things, and it was just cutting through the wind. So like, yes, he has massive skill, but literally the golf ball is at least like 10 strokes that specific that actual tournament. Yeah, it's like a total thing. There's articles on it.
No, I believe it. I believe it. I'm talking about the amateurs.
If
I
it
think it's
makes
the
that
dumbest
much
thing
of
in
a
the world.
difference, if it makes that much of a difference, like what were people still watching in 2000? Like, yeah. Like, was he bombing drives in 2000? Yeah. It's the
Yeah.
same swing, same everything, only this golf ball just goes too far.
Besides the golf ball, why not for pros regulate the driver so it's a
Driver and
smaller
ball.
sweet spot? So if you miss hit the driver, nowadays there's no penalty for a bad driver, really.
100%. But same thing. It's all the manufacturers, right? Because like I have the same Titleist driver as Jordan Spieth. Like I didn't buy it because of that, but like I can say, oh hey, he's using my same driver. So they
But
can't
he's
like
also
they're
getting
just
it
not gonna
tuned
do it.
up in the trailer every tournament, and you're whipping it out in Scottsdale after not touching it
Oh
for 3 weeks.
yeah, no, they dial in the shafts and everything else. But like yeah, it's the manufacturers. That's the only reason.
Yeah,
I would love
I
to see
mean,
more missed fairways,
they're
right?
trying to
Like
grow they're trying to grow the game and get more ratings. And then with like everything going on with live and like the elevated prize pools, and half these tournaments don't even make money. It's like, what are we doing here for
yeah,
amateurs?
no, they like the structure of golf like totally needs to change. Like it should just change to be like the majors and then like five or six kind of other events around that, maybe some kind of playoffs, and then there should be like a team fall thing. Like there's got to be another way where all this comes together in the next 5 years. But man, I'm so in favor of the rollback. So in favor of it. Make it
Okay.
harder. It's
For pros, I agree. The
yeah,
amateurs, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
but yet no amateur is gonna like literally besides like scratch golfers will not be able to tell a difference because like when I get golf balls, I don't pay $5 a Pro V1. I go on and I get them used where they fish them out of like TPC sawgrass.
Yeah.
So like, and then it's a bunch of Pro Vs from like 2 3 years ago, and they're still really good. But like, I don't know, just throw it down. Like I can't tell the difference if it's a 2023 or a 2018 Pro V, and that's all. That's all it is.
I have no
You won't be
shame.
able to tell the difference. I promise.
I have no shame. I whip out the Kirkland signature golf ball. No
Right.
shame.
So already, no,
Just a
that's a good
Midwest
point.
swing voter, baby.
So there's probably gonna be no change to the Kirkland ball, right?
I hope
It's
not.
no, it's
If
not.
they
It's
haven't
only
changed the price of hot dogs, they better not change the ball.
no, but like the only balls that would have to change are the ones that are like the top of the line engineered to maximize these like fast swing speeds,
Yeah.
right? So if the Kirkland ball conforms, which it probably does, it probably flies 10% shorter than like the Pro V1X. Like I have no idea, but that ball is probably already conforming. It's only like it's the $60 a dozen balls that each manufacturer makes. Those are the only ones that will potentially change, I think.
All right. You want to
So
go
don't
to?
worry, don't give up the
I,
game. In 7 years, you know
well, the
you'll still
funny
be
thing is for amateurs, it's I think, yeah, your buddies are going to get together, but I think the real growth in golf is going to be virtual golf for
they.
amateurs.
Yeah, it's got to be. Well, I don't know. I think the rise of these like golf facilities,
Yeah.
like cool destination ones, where it's like more than one course, is where like golf is kind of going. Where like we're actually a bunch of buddies from town. We're doing the one in Frisco. Didn't you send me that on Instagram?
I sent you that. I have a buddy
Yeah,
who I believe is a
Fields
listener.
Fields Ranch. We're going there in April.
I'll reach out. I won't name his name. I don't know if his corporate sponsorship's not pending yet. He's down there. I'll have to get his review.
Yeah, so it's like it's 218. I think it's like 218s, a short par three course, and a putting course,
Putting
and
course.
it's
Every
got like
okay. Sorry to cut you off.
light like
Every
that.
new resort needs to have a putting course
Yeah,
because let's say bachelor party guys trip. Everyone gets there that first night. First thing they're going to do is the putting course.
putting course, break out the irons, play the par three, make
Yeah.
it like light it up, do like night golf stuff like that. There's
I'm going
ways
to
to get creative.
Turning Stone with some of my high school friends in 2024, and the first day we're playing the par three.
There you go.
That's the first thing we're doing
The
is par
par
three.
threes are so much fun. I feel like that's like the way to like I think keep the interest level higher is to like make more accessible like fun formats where
Yeah,
it's not you just like going out there and getting beat up. Like
yeah, for the amateur.
yeah, no, for the amateurs, like I think it'd be really fun to have like a par three course. I mean, instead of 4-inch holes, 6-inch holes. How much fun would it be every once in a while to be like draining 30-footers,
Yeah,
right?
that
Or
would be
like
cool.
chipping it, like just mess around with it, right? Like just try something where it's like, hey, like McGee, you could shoot like 5 under par because we had this bucket of a hole, and you're sinking chips, right? You're like you're draining long ones. Like who knows? I don't know what you could do, but the game is separating where like the top guys are getting so much better because they can optimize all this stuff, and
Yeah.
then like I can't imagine the average handicap is like changing at all, no matter
What do
what
you
they.
think? So the bigger hole. This is my idea. I don't know why courses don't do it because you would tip these guys. Each hole has a green reading caddy available to the group.
It
The
just
guy
hangs
just
out.
the guy just hangs out at the green the whole day.
That's not a
He'll
bad
tend the
idea.
pin. He'll read the putt if you want it.
Love it.
Go on to the next hole.
Love it. Just have a guy a lights night course par three with guys at every hole hanging out reading putts. That'd be great.
For amateur, dude, I think it's a
Yeah,
brilliant idea. I can't read
yeah,
putts.
that's a good idea.
You wouldn't want to call a guy in to read a putt for you. You would definitely scratch a few strokes off around.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, if you're in a new place and the guy's just been watching this one 12-footer all day, it's like, oh yeah, 2 cups
The
out.
longest putt I ever hit in my life was at Locust Hill Country Club with my friend Ryan Smith's dad. It's at hosted an LPGA event for years. I'm
Nice.
lined up like this on like a 40-footer, and he's standing like way over here, and I'm backswing. He goes, "Hey McGee." I stop. He goes, "You're gonna want to aim over here, about 40 feet to the right of where I was aiming." I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, that's where I was aiming." I end up putting it right at him where he told me to. This thing winds in from 40 feet. This was 25 years ago. I still think about that putt.
The best. The
Yeah.
best.
So greens reading caddy on every hole. Think about it.
Love it. Love it.
Do you
Well,
want to? Do you have any other
I'm telling you,
thoughts?
don't be scared of rollback. There's a lot of other ways that we could improve the game.
Okay, for the before we go though, for the pros, why aren't they making it harder? If more of a penalty if you miss the fairway. So many of these guys miss the fairway in these Joe Blow tournaments, and it's not a negative stroke off the tee because they missed the fairway. Like, why
Yeah,
not? Before you do that, why aren't you raising the rough during regular tournaments? Or instead of having a freaking runway to hit the driver into, why aren't they
yeah.
trying any of that stuff?
It's tough because there's not much they can do anymore, right? You can either grow like the rough, wrap the fairway super high, or like dry out the greens so balls basically bounce out. It's basically like you
Yeah.
can wing foot, 2020 it or whatever, whatever that fall tournament that Bryson won.
Yeah.
And then like the problem is like these guys are so good, and like the wedges are so good, the ball's so good that like the to make it like a one shot penalty rough, you literally have to be like this. It has to be like just chunk out rough. And like if there's
My
anything we can
example is
do against
Wyndham
it, these
Clark.
guys was it?
Wyndham Clark at the U.S. Open. That guy shanks
Oh,
it off the first
those,
tee,
those,
and it's in the
those
fairway.
fairways were way. That
Or
was like an 80
18th,
yard
excuse me,
fairway.
the 18th fairway with
Yeah,
the
that thing
U.S.
was.
Open on the line, and he goes 60 yards right, and it's sitting in the fairway. I
Yeah,
mean, come on.
yeah. No, I just think like yeah, totally. The ball, I don't think the ball's gonna be that big of a deal. I think the driver heads for those guys would be really cool to see, like going back to something smaller. Like even like the turn of the century, like the Titleist, it was like the 975. The like Tiger won all those majors in 2000, 2001. Like that head was like this big, and he was
Yeah,
absolutely piping it. Like going back to that even would add a little bit more drama where like you have to really hit on the screws, you know, get a little
I
curve
agree.
in the ball.
I
I don't
agree.
know.
Let's talk.
These
Let's
guys,
talk
these guys
Rahm.
are pampered. They're a bunch of complainers.
Well, next topic. What is Liv going to do? Are they going to roll it back, or are they just going to be the fun entertainment?
Yeah, Bryson, one of the guys, like these guys didn't come out to see me not hit it as far as I can. It's like, all right, whatever,
Hey, whoa, tone down the Bryson slander. I got a futures ticket
man. Oh, come
with his
on.
illegal driver. I went to that website and I'm like, I didn't even feel like comfortable putting my
The
credit card
long
on that
drive
website.
contest driver. I don't know. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to put my credit card in on here. But you want to talk Rahm? Apparently,
Yeah.
he's going.
Okay, so I guess there's two questions. Number one, does he sign a contract and get a wire transfer for a shit ton of money? And
Yes,
number two, if he does that, does he actually end up playing any live events? Or does he like somehow get this, like, get the bag, knowing that like in January they're gonna come to an agreement and he can still play the farmers in February? Like, is he gonna somehow be able to get the live money and then be playing PGA Tour events in 2024? I think there's a I think that's the way he would like definitely do it. If he's basically told like there will be like a remerger, you'll be like on a live team, you'll own that, you'll have like the equity of that, but you'll also be able to do XYZ on the European or the PGA Tour. I don't know how it's going to work, but I
I don't
can't
know about
imagine people start
24, but
playing.
definitely moving forward in 25 and beyond because of the
Yeah,
agreement.
it's just so much. It's so much
Masters
money.
dinner champion will be a live member.
Yeah, well, it's like at some point there's like there's just so much money where it's like, okay, if I win, three PGA Tour events for the next 10 years and I get to 30, like, does that matter? Like, no. All people are going to say is, how many majors did you win? So if you can
Majors.
play all four majors and then basically like tune up at some event, whether it's live or PGA, and if you can still play the Ryder Cup, which is the big question, right? Because especially after this last one, if he does something and takes 300, $600 million or whatever and isn't playing at Bethpage because of it, like that would be like the what the fuck did you do moment.
No Spaniard too, and they have such a tradition with the Ryder Cup.
Like
I
like if
think
you're Rory and like you and Rahm just like carried this team and Hovland, right? Those three guys carried them and Rahm is just like, yeah, like yeah, whatever. I'm gonna get banned, but like we had a good run. Like maybe I'll see you in 2030 or something like that. Like I'd be so
once every
pissed.
2 years versus okay, now I only have to play 14 hit and giggles plus four majors. The rest of the time I'm from Spain. The rest of the time I could just spend in Spain with my family instead
Yeah,
of teeing it up at the AT&T Pro Am.
I totally get the international guys. Like it makes so much more sense, right? Because like they already
Brilliant.
they already like basically left wherever they're coming from, whether it's
Yeah,
Australia or South America, or South Africa, or Chile or Argentina, wherever some of these guys are, Europe.
yeah,
Like they already were like, okay, we're gonna go to the play on the PGA Tour because the PGA Tour has more money than the European Tour or the Australian Tour or the South African Tour or whatever. So like they left to like do something. So I feel like they're more free agents. It's the
yeah.
US guys that are kind of like,
The PGA's
if
for the
you're a
US guys.
young US guy, it's more of a sellout move.
But let's say you don't want to raise your kid as an American because you grew up in another country. And now
Yeah.
you could basically raise your kids in South
Oh,
Africa.
totally get it for the international guys. Yeah, and like Rom, I guess would be in that bucket. But
Well, Liv is smart though. So they got Cam Smith. So they have the Australia event, which they'll probably eventually go to two Australia events. And that, in Australia, they don't care. They love that Live event. That was huge. Spain, they play in Valderrama. Now, Spain, they have Sergio and Rahm. That
yep.
event is going to be huge. I mean, it's
Do you,
really just the
do
U.S.
you think he's 100% going?
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, yeah. It's
There's
it's
too many
crazy.
leaks at this point for him to be going. It's the
I
Michael
know.
Scott Paper Company. I think he's looking. I'm going to get $600 million, and then a year from now, when they join, I'm going to be able to play the Farmers and the Phoenix Open because they're going to let live players play X events.
Do you
And
think?
I
Okay,
still think
so
they'll
yeah,
go to majors.
is John Rahm on the 2025 Bethpage Black Ryder Cup team?
I think so.
You think so? And so he's
Via
going to get
live.
paid and get it.
Westwood, Sergio, Poulter, there will be they will mend fences.
Yeah, I can't imagine he does it unless he knows he'll be in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, is there? I mean,
I
if
don't know how
six
he
hundred
pulls it off. I don't know how he does that, but like I can't imagine he there's
six
like he
hundred
gets,
million dollars and you get a 4 to 5 month off season to spend in Spain, I'm signing.
there's a million reasons to do it. Oh, totally. Or 600 million reasons not to do it for sure.
And him and Phil are boys. Him and Sergio are boys.
Yeah.
And I think it's over now because you got Rahm, you have Brooks, you have Cam Smith, you have Bryson. I mean, Brooks and Rahm are big boys in terms of the majors. I still think Cam Smith gets another one just because he puts the lights out.
So do you think
What
it
are you going to
changes?
do though if you have Brooks and let's say Brooks and Rahm both win a major again this year? I mean,
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
Well, so the other question is like if Rom signs, there's at least what three other guys that immediately go with him, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
I don't
probably
know.
if he goes, it's Xander, it's Cantlay, and there's one other guy that I'm not thinking of. They'll be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, he's the 15th ranked guy.
Xander Cantlay are definitely a package. The only reason I think Xander and Cantlay haven't gone is they don't have the major exemptions.
They don't have they don't have major exemptions, which is definitely one thing for sure. Um, but I feel like they're both not needle movers, and they're both kind of like villains. I don't know. I hate them both, so I don't care if they go. Um, but it feels like they like hesitated, probably just because the majors. You're probably right. Um, but I think if Rom signs, it won't be like just John Rom going. There'll be a couple other guys. Will be like, oh, well, if Rom's doing it, like I'll do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Who are the other major winners that are still on PGA Tour that would fit that category?
I don't think any like the cornbread eating, Americana, Sam Burns, Scheffler, they're never going. These guys are USA guys. I'm trying to just think of the Ryder Cup. Ludwig is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, like Hovland. Like Hovland hasn't won his major yet.
Yeah.
So wait, did he? No, he didn't win the PGA.
No,
Who won
not
the
yet.
PGA?
Not yet. He won
Oh,
a
oh,
playoff.
Bush won the PGA. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's the tough part. Um,
But the live strategy is like they have the South African guys, they have the Australian guy, they have the Spain guy. They really just don't have a hold in the USA. And I don't really know the perception of them abroad or what their TV ratings are.
yeah,
But
yeah. I'm looking. I'm just looking at some of the major winners to see if there's anyone that sticks out.
they have
Like
they have
Hideki,
a
like
pretty big
Hideki, didn't
monopoly.
Hideki get the Hideki would be one, right? Didn't he have an offer for like 600 million?
He turned it down because the Japanese market's the next biggest golf market outside the US. He's so key to the PGA. People don't
Yeah,
realize it, how huge he is with all the sponsors too.
yeah, but so if Rom calls him up and is like, dude, we both won the major or the Masters, like we're in. Like I took it, take it.
Yeah.
Like why wouldn't Hideki go? I mean,
Well,
there's a scenario where like all of a sudden like Max Homa's winning like 8 events next year because it's like just Max, Scheffler,
no,
Rory,
the
and like
PGA still has
Steve,
a ton of studs, man. They still do.
but like not like that caliber, right? Like Rom's definitely like when Rom's in the
Yeah,
field, you're like, yeah,
Homa's not in that caliber yet.
no. But if you take out like Schauffele and Cantlay and maybe Hideki
Yes,
or like a couple other guys, then everyone just rises, right? Like you're going to
I agree.
automatically go from the 10th ranked player to the 6th ranked player if four guys above you leave, you know?
I agree. I also think that once Tiger tees up in the Champions, the Champions ratings are going to be better than the PGA ratings.
Oh, I couldn't care less where Tiger plays. Like I'll watch him play putt putt, right? Like that's
Yeah,
my eyeballs are on Tiger Woods for sure. Yeah.
the Champions ratings are going to be through the roof.
Do you think he plays Champions?
I think he's going to play the Champions.
I guess he would play the I guess I hadn't really thought about that. I guess he would play the Champions to like get the winning feeling, right? If he just needs to
Can you
win,
use a
which
card on the
I totally see.
Champions? Can you cart? Can you use a
You
card
can
on the
cart,
Champion?
54 holes,
Yeah,
cart. I
cart.
mean, yeah. Oh man, Tiger Woods coming down the back nine at the Senior Open or something like that. Oh, it'd be awesome.
Plus, you have the merger happening eventually with Liv or whatever agreement they sign.
Yeah,
These guys are going to be playing on both tours if they want.
I don't like if they just done this smart. Like, why wouldn't you just do the PGA Tour stuff? Make some modifications where you make a better class of tournament, and then just make like after the Ryder Cup through the end of the year, some like not as serious team events, like a live style.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
For example, this weekend is the Grant Thornton. It's only 20 teams. It's a male female. I mean, I'm gonna watch it
Oh
because I got
yeah.
to. But who? Dude, these ratings are gonna be nothing. Nothing.
Also, I keep on thinking towards the Ryder Cup for 2025 and like how bad the US is at like preparing for it. Why don't they do like they got to ask how they got all the guys to buy in for the dream team, right? Like for the Ryder Cup, everyone's like, like my schedule, I don't know if I could get there early enough, blah blah. Like for the dream team, they went around, they like convinced Jordan, like, hey, you got to buy in, you got to come. We're gonna practice all together in Las Vegas. We're gonna go to Monte Carlo. We're gonna live in Monte Carlo for a month. We're gonna be acclimated to it. And like they got all these guys that were way bigger, like athlete superstars than any of the golfers combined. And somehow they
Yeah.
convinced all those guys who play a much more rigorous, have to show up to practice full season. They took their summer off to do
Right.
this. Like, why can't you just go like? And that wasn't like, hey, Jordan, like, no big deal. Like, we're gonna play Angola, on August 1st. Like, just get there, the morning of. We're gonna smoke them by 50, right? But just make sure you're there. Like, that's basically what like our team did for the Ryder Cup. No, they
Yeah.
were like, hey, if we need you bought in, we need you there from June for the next 2 months. Everyone's going to be there practicing, doing the whole thing. Why doesn't the Ryder Cup U.S. captain just do the same thing? Be like, hey, here are the guys that would qualify. Will you guys all come? And 2 weeks before the event, we're there and we're
Yeah.
practicing. We're like, you're going to listen to what I say. Or hey, if that's not what you're into, if that's going to screw up your vacation schedule, like no big deal. McGee's coming in your place. Like no big deal. Like, but I
I agree.
need 12 guys who are going to follow this schedule and lay
Yeah.
out the schedule of like this is the proper way to prepare. Like you were gonna go try to win the US Open. We're gonna do the same way. You're not gonna show up late, jet lagged, whatever. Like, and
Yeah.
if you're
You're
in, you're
not
in.
wine tasting with your wife on Saturday.
Yeah. Be like, I don't know, like if you want to be part of this team, like you gotta buy in. We win in Europe if we just did it right.
Speaking of that, they got to worry about the President's Cup. Those
But
Koreans can play, man.
well, I mean, if the live guy, if there's an agreement and all of a sudden you got Cam Smith and some of those guys coming back on the team, it could be a
Yeah. Oh,
boomerang.
yeah. Really, Cam Smith, maybe Neiman, but
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when they all signed, I don't remember what all the names were, but like
a lot of the
wasn't like
South Africans.
Stevenson and like the South African guys and um who was the guy that finished second in the PGA?
Oh yeah, Mito.
Mito. Yeah, like they definitely lost like six guys around the eve of that
They
tournament.
could lose the
But like
President's
all those
Cup.
guys came back.
They could lose the President's Cup this year.
Not this year,
We'll,
not
we'll,
unless
we have plenty
if
of
there's a
time.
merger and they come back. Yeah,
We'll see.
but where
We're a
is it?
little early for President's Cup talk.
Hey, never too early. I love the team golf. Anyway, all right. Where are we going next? College football? Longhorns?
Hook 'em.
Seminoles?
I don't have anything really to add. I mean,
Was there any
FSU
way
got
they could have left
royally
out the
screwed.
SEC? How could they have left out the SEC?
They didn't have the stones to do it.
Right? Like who's
Unfortunately,
pissed right now? Like DeSantis is suing Florida State. I guess made a little bit of noise. Like
Florida
other than that,
State deserved to be in because everyone's talking about it too. Yeah, they lost their quarterback. Louisville was a top 15 team and they beat them and they got left out.
so
The
like
problem is Texas beat Alabama. I think if
yeah,
Texas hadn't have beaten
in
Alabama,
Alabama, in
yeah,
Alabama, so like it was on the road.
so they couldn't justify putting Alabama in, but not Texas is why
Exactly, exactly.
they got
But like,
screwed, man. I don't know what other
like
way to say it.
if but so I was thinking about this today. Like I haven't heard a peep from Dabo Sweeney or like anyone else from the ACC being like they were robbed. But if you had no SEC team, right? Like you'd hear from Georgia, you'd hear from Saban, you'd hear from the commission, you'd hear from all these SEC guys. Like they'd all be like, it was an injustice to all of us. And I feel like the only people that are like complaining about it on FSU side is FSU, which they definitely have a case, and DeSantis. That's it.
It's not a real playoff. It's a fake playoff for money and entertainment. They weren't leaving out Saban, Nick Saban, Alabama.
No,
It was just not happening.
but it's like I was looking back at like who's participating in this thing, right? For the last, I know the conferences are going to change, but for the last 20 years or whatever it's been, it's like there's a power five, right? So already you're saying there's five power conferences. We're going to have a four-team playoff. Like that's idiotic in its own. And then like half the years, either a Notre Dame or two SEC teams came in. So it was like most years there was like at max 3 out of 5 conference champions in this thing. Like even
Yeah.
that is just beyond comprehension. Like the
They're
12
going to a
team
12
is
team. They're going to a 12-team playoff, so it doesn't really matter. But
yeah. If you're 13, you can't really complain because you're going to be plus 25 in the first game anyway, right?
I actually think college football. It's talk about bifurcation. It's now getting even if you are at like a Wake Forest or a North Carolina or Duke, and you're a freshman and you're good. Even if you like your coach, you're going to enter the portal because you can get 750K to go play at a different school. And if you're
How
truly like,
how's the guy left?
yeah, he left.
Like
Yeah, he was a
that,
starting quarterback.
where are you going? Ohio
Yeah,
State, right? It's
or
like
like
is he going to Michigan? Is he going to
The Notre
Illinois? Is
Dame
he going
guy
to
this
Georgia?
year. The
Like where's
Notre
he
Dame
going?
guy this year was from Wake Forest, and Notre Dame's like, yeah, we'll pay $1 million to come on over here for 11 games.
Yeah, I just I
Those
couldn't
those
believe
like the Syracuses, the Wake. Even if you get lucky recruiting, and the guy's a stud, he's gonna leave.
he's going to leave. Oh yeah,
And I don't blame the kid. Why? Like you're not going to leave $1 million on the table if you're 19 because you might not ever go to the NFL anyways.
yeah. Oh, you got to do it.
But it's just going to be. It's going to be just an exhibition for those top 10 teams that could pay the
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. It's going to be there's going to be. I guess you could say there's going to be like 15 programs that potentially matter, right? Like if
Right.
12 get in every year, there's
Yeah.
12 and then a couple bubble teams, and that's kind of it.
But like, how in the world could a Mississippi State or a Vanderbilt ever could be? Because even if let's say they get a guy who is a 3-star quarterback, and just because he went to a small school and he turns out to be a stud, and he starts as a freshman, he's getting a
Yeah,
$1 million package from Alabama to transfer over next year. It's a
yeah. It's crazy. Well, speaking
but
of college,
Longhorn, what are you thinking? Are you thinking ahead? Are you thinking of taking Washington? Or are you going to wait? We could potentially go for the middle. Washington's 4.5.
I
Longhorns win by
know,
3.
right? Like I think it'd be silly not to do like at least one unit. We've got 10 units to play with, right?
Yeah, we're 10-1.
Yeah, 10-1. So like it'd be silly to lose any money on this bet, especially because you're getting plus odds.
Yeah,
Like if you take like straight money line, or you could middle it. So like, there's no reason why we lose money on this thing.
The only problem is you got to do it twice.
Yeah. So maybe it's, well, I don't know what they like, plus 140, plus 130, something like that. So you
Oh,
could put like,
to in just the
right, so you put like
Washington game?
$70 on Washington money line, right, to break even on the bet,
Yeah.
and then like it's really not, it doesn't impact like the overall at all.
We have a few weeks. I definitely agree with you. I don't want to go in where if Washington pulls the upset, I'm sitting there after.
Yeah, you're like, dude, like, can we sweat that out? We got lucky on selection day, and then like
Yeah,
nothing.
we're at the national title game where we're either winning 700 or we're winning 200 type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh
10 to
man,
1. And, yeah,
I was
and
sweating
like you
that
said
out.
on the
All of a sudden,
text, what?
what's it?
No, I can.
I was sweating out the selection, and then all of a sudden it was like I was looking at the odds and like they're gonna be number three. I'm like, unbelievable.
The only reason I wasn't sweating out the selection is there is no way they could have put in Bam over them with the head-to-head win.
Uh, yes. I guess I just thought
I would
that.
have been nervous if Georgia won.
Yeah, exactly. If Georgia won, then you could totally have seen a Georgia, Florida State, Washington.
And then you leave out the two one-loss teams.
They leave the two
Because it
one
would have
loss.
been the four undefeated teams. I think if Georgia wins, Texas would have been out.
Of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So and that game was like a nail biter. So I was like, what a bummer. We came so close. And when we were talking about betting against betting FSU right as a hedge, we could have won that and carried it over to the Texas. So it wasn't even a
I know.
hedge. It was
I was thinking about betting FSU, but I'm like, well, I don't want to have to bet FSU, then bet a semifinal, then bet a final.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. So
Speaking of futures, which I might need you to place the
I'm,
bet,
I'm
NFL futures for our listeners that are still with us. I don't know how many minutes we've gone. I
this
was
is a
looking
great
at
episode. Everyone is still here. I guarantee it.
this is a winner, and I'm actually if my mom wasn't coming tomorrow, I might drive to the Iowa border to place this myself.
All right. I got sponsored by
NFL
Draft.
Super Bowl winner that's on DraftKings right now.
I'm
Champion
looking.
specials. NFC conference is minus 125 to win the Super Bowl over the AFC. Right now, NFC is minus 125, AFC is plus 100. I like the NFC minus 125. You have the Niners, Eagles, and Cowboys as your three picks. The AFC is pretty wide open. I don't think the Jags are doing it. The Chiefs haven't
No.
looked great. Maybe the Ravens. And my logic is if you get to this, it's going to be the 49ers, the Cowboys, or the Eagles. And
Yep.
if you get to the Super Bowl,
Yep.
it doesn't matter who they play. I think they will be favored. And at that point, they're going to be way higher than minus 125.
So yeah, I'd say wait, what's the line NFC AFC? Not the money line.
No, it's just money line. They don't have an offer on the
Or
spread
they
right
don't
now.
have a NFC minus 2.5 or something like
Maybe they do. I'd have to look, but this is what I'm looking
that.
at: minus 125 and plus 100. And minus 125 is what a minus one and a half line,
Yeah,
basically.
like that champion specials. Yeah, you're right.
Instead, if you bet Eagles, Cowboys, and Niners all money line, it works out to less than that, basically.
Yeah,
So, because I think the Niners are the best team, and
the
this
Niners they're like too good right now. They're just
and
machine.
and it's more of a fade the AFC. I mean, Kansas City is a shell of itself.
Yeah, I mean, you get some magic going. Like they can still make a run, right? But it's not like they're head above anyone else for sure. Totally agree.
Maybe the Ravens, but do you really think like the Jags or Miami are winning the Super Bowl?
I still think that the Ravens can be figured out in the playoffs,
Yeah,
right? So yeah,
I like the NFC. So
and Miami's done what they've done against like the good teams, which is like if they're rolling, they're just a snowball going downhill. But
yeah, I
like
mean Miami's
anything goes
covering
wrong in the
easy.
game plan, yeah,
Right, right.
they're a pretty boy.
Burrow's hurt. I mean, something to
Well,
think
yeah,
about.
the AFC is not. So if you had to predict it right now, it's Niners who?
Ravens.
Niners Ravens. Niners Ravens. Oh, we had that. What, that was 2014. Joe Flacco. That was the Harbaugh Bowl, right?
The Harbaugh Bowl with Kaepernick.
Yeah,
Niners
that's
Ravens.
right.
I'm still holding out hope that the Bills could sneak in because I do believe the AFC is wide open. That the AFC could have a surprise winner.
AFC could definitely have a surprise winner. I just mentioned Joe Flacco. Like, what if it's the Joe Flacco is Tommy Maddox or John Elway, right? Coming in at 38, leads a great defense into the playoffs.
I took the Rams and I watched that game. He didn't look that bad. He definitely looked better than their other two options.
3 days of practice or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Like, at least he can. He's still tall. He can still
yeah.
throw the ball.
They have a good
Not
run game. They have a good defense. Give me a few deep balls a game.
Oh, just the Joe Flacco pass interference.
Yeah. Flacco went out for McDonald's after the Super Bowl. Always liked him ever since that moment.
Here's the trivia question for you. Ooh, this is good. All right, there are five, and you're gonna get one because of Joe Flacco, but there are five colleges that graduated both a president of the United States and a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Well, Delaware now because of Biden, right? Well,
That's
Biden went to Syracuse for law school,
Biden,
maybe.
Biden, Delaware. Yeah, so Biden and Flacco,
Michigan.
Michigan,
Um,
Ford
oh,
and Brady.
Army or Navy.
I think it's the Naval Academy. I think
Stanford.
Stanford, and the
Longhorns.
last one, no, last one's tough. I can't remember what the president is, but I'll give you a hint. He won multiple Super Bowls, including one when we were in college. You know someone who went to this school, played in Pennsylvania,
Hit me.
Miami, Ohio. Has
Oh,
some president from like the 1800s in Ben Roethlisberger.
yes, Miami University, as they like to call it.
Miami,
But yeah,
Miami U. Yeah,
wow. I knew that.
break
I knew they
five,
had some presidents.
five programs. Break that one out.
That's a good one. I don't have a trivia question
And
prepared for you.
you can go even more. There's only one program that also has a Super Bowl winning head coach
There's
who
only
also
one
played there.
program that has a president, Super Bowl quarterback, and Super Bowl coach.
Yeah, because it's got to be one of the five. And McVay won a
Oh,
Super Bowl
Miami. Miami.
and played Miami. Yeah, so like, yeah, so Miami, Ohio has this like very random
Cradle of
president
coaches, they call it.
cradle of coaches. Ohio.
Yeah, I don't. Do you have any NFL takes since we're here? I mean, we're coming up on a long time here.
Buccaneers are one can be on top of the NFC South at 4 o'clock on Sunday after they beat the Falcons. That
I
is
think
the worst. They lost 6 out of 7 games, and they have the chance to have tiebreakers to be on top of the division in Week 14. I don't know what to say.
I know we're picking 5 for our contest, and I'm not just saying this to be like a
This
humble douche,
68%.
but I truly would not pick one game if it weren't for the contest this week with real money. I'm just from looking
Oh
at the lines right
yeah,
now.
you're
There's
gonna force
nothing
it.
that looks good to me right now.
Oh man, yeah. Let's see. Early quick picks before we
I
log off
actually think
here.
it could be a good week to tease a lot of the dogs up. Like, for example, the Patriots to 12, um, the Bills to 8.5. I don't think they've lost by more than a touchdown all year. Things like
Mm,
that. Because there's nothing or like the Eagles Cowboys, teasing the
teaser.
Eagles up to 9.5.
What do you think about the Vikings at the Raiders?
I'm not sure who the Vikings are going to start at quarterback.
Yeah.
They might start Nick Mullins. Okay,
Yeah.
here's a question for you. Why are there 2 Monday Night Football games?
Dude, I feel like we asked that same question the first 2 weeks of the season. Didn't they have
Okay,
didn't they
I get week 1 they do it as like the intro to the season, but this is like the most random week to do it ever.
Didn't they do like 3 Monday night games this season? It was like 2 early ones and 1 West. It was something really wacky.
My only logic is it because it's who has Monday night? Is it ABC or ESPN now? ESPN?
Well, it's ESPN, but I think it's also broadcast on ABC.
Is it because ESPN has bowl games the following week or something like that? That's stupid.
It doesn't make any sense. And what time are these games at? It's like, are they even staggered well? I don't even know.
No, they're both kicking off at the exact same time,
What are we doing here?
and they're
Just
two horrible
everyone's got
games.
two TVs.
And they're two horrible games.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Horrible. I mean, I'll be watching them because business is slow and nothing's going to happen between now and the end of the year. So I'll be tuning in.
Yeah, sign me up. But still, I guess the game of the week: Eagles Cowboys.
Yeah, huge monster game.
Cowboys -3.5 at home right now. Getting the hook.
I'm putting the Eagles to 9.5 in a teaser.
I mean, that's very reasonable.
Money.
Like,
Well, instead of betting the game straight up, I don't have an
no,
opinion on
I
it.
know. It makes total sense.
Do you have any other takes, or should I give you my absurd mom request?
Bring it on.
My mom is flying tomorrow. She lands about 11:30. She's asked me to bring her a cup of coffee with me when I pick her up to be able to hand it to her. Okay, I think that's a little absurd. Okay, I told her you can't get a cup of coffee at the airport.
How many coffee places will she pass between the gate and your car?
She
10?
can also ask the flight attendant during drink service for a cup of
Oh,
coffee.
oh yeah. Wait, you
My
you
only
gotta you gotta map out, go figure out the gate, go onto like the airport map and be like, Mom, there's a Starbucks, there's a Dunkin', like on go out your gate, take a left. It's
yeah,
right there.
I told her I'm not bringing one with me. I could be in the cell phone lot. Your luggage might not come out, and it's cold. I'm like,
Just
we'll
be
get a
cold.
cup of coffee on the drive home. I'll stop. I'll pull off the road. We're gonna pass 35 coffee shops because I live 20 minutes from the airport.
Is she taking like a red eye in? She's gonna be just gassed.
No, she lands at 11:30. She lands at 11:30 in the morning.
It's a very reasonable time.
Absurd request.
Anything
This is
else? Does she
this.
want something to eat?
No, we'll get something to eat, but she didn't ask for anything to eat. She just,
Just a cup of
can you
coffee.
bring me a cup of coffee when you pick me up? It's just
Oh,
I Seinfeld and Del Boca Vista makes more sense as my parents age.
oh,
And my parents still live in Western New York, and my mom complains that I'm like, well, Mom, I'm not spending $3,000 to fly my family to come see you to go to Buffalo, New York in February. I was
yes. All
like,
right.
I go, if you want to move to Del Boca Vista, I guarantee you we'd be there every spring break.
Cool for the kids. Like warm weather. Done. I know.
Any 3-4 day weekend in the winter in Minnesota, we would fly down to see you, Mom. We're not
Yeah.
flying to Buffalo.
You got airfare. You guys got accommodations. It's perfect. Like,
Yeah. I just had to share that with our audience. Cup of
oh
coffee. Can you
gosh,
bring me a cup of coffee when you pick me up?
there's no scenario where you time it where it's like the right temperature by the time she shows up.
It's also just absurd. I mean, at what point am I pulling off the highway and getting this cup of coffee? I live 20 minutes from the airport.
Okay, that's not bad.
No, but I mean, where am I
Where
going?
are you getting, okay, so we're gonna go for the cup of coffee after you pick her up.
I like this mom and pop coffee shop about 5 minutes south of my house, but
Okay,
she's a Dunkin' Donuts gal.
you got Dunkin's over there.
Yeah, we have a couple, but they're nothing like the East Coast. They're
A
horrible
couple.
here.
Yeah.
So,
Was it Tim Hortons?
no, we don't have Tim Hortons here.
Oh,
That's
you do.
more where my parents live.
Okay.
The
All right.
most
Yeah.
popular Tim Hortons is by my parents. This thing always has a line. It's very regional. we have Caribou Coffee here, which is like the regional chain that's
Okay.
popular.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sucks, but
Mom and pop shop. All right. So you're gonna get a mom and pop coffee black?
I go black. My joke with my mom,
Where'd she
okay?
go?
No, my joke with my mom, and anyone still listening, no one's gonna be offended by this,
We
but
had to do 2 weeks worth of coverage, you know?
try this move next time you're with like a 74-year-old white woman and you're staring at a hipster barista and she orders her coffee black. Look the hipster barista in the eyes and go, just like her men. I'm
Chris,
telling you, the joke nails every time.
I there is if I said that my mom would have absolutely no fucking idea. She'd be like, what?
No, not with your mom, just to see the reaction of the barista.
Oh, from the barista.
Because my mom has like those like 74-year-old white women sweaters that she wears too, especially in the winter. It'll be
Oh
like a
yeah.
white turtleneck with like a red sweater that I
Oh
don't even
yeah.
know where these are available, but like
All right.
7-year-old
Yeah.
women. Yeah, it's
They
like,
made them 20 years ago. Yeah.
yeah. So that's what we got going on.
Oh my God. I love it.
And you got anything for me?
You know, holiday season, torn rotator cuff, you know, we're just living.
I got a few more things then.
Oh,
Local theaters
beautiful.
playing some of the old 80s and 90s Christmas movies. So I'm gonna go see Christmas Vacation on the big screen. I'm pretty excited about
Okay.
that. We
Okay.
had a we had a friends over the other day with their daughter. They told me the guy. I like this guy. He told me his favorite Christmas movie, The Ref with Dennis Leary. Never even thought of it as a Christmas movie.
I've never even seen it, never even heard of it.
It's funny.
The
I haven't
Rep,
seen it. I haven't seen it in 25 years with Dennis Leary. He says he watches The Ref every year.
1994.
Yeah,
Dennis Leary, Kevin Spacey. What the?
yeah. It's I haven't seen it in years, but since he mentioned it, I added it to the queue for Christmas movies.
You know what?
If you have time, I know you're busy.
The Ref. All right. The Ref. Bad Santa.
Bad
Got to
Santa,
do
of
Die
course.
Hard, even though I don't think Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Always love an excuse to watch Die Hard. Oh, speaking of things to watch, I might be like way late to this game, but have you watched Welcome to Wrexham?
No,
It's good.
I'll check it
It's
out.
good. So we finally started watching Ted Lasso. Did you watch that one?
Season one.
I gotta say, unpopular opinion, I don't get it. It's not that good. It's everyone's
I
like,
like.
"Oh my God!" It's like it's cute, it's sweet, it's adorable. I feel like you know, 8 out of 10 episodes, I don't laugh like out loud. It's like, oh, that's like, yeah, no, I knew he was, yeah, I know what he's doing. But like,
Yeah,
and then the episode ends, and I'm like, there's no plot advancement. I didn't really laugh that hard. There's no I don't really care what happens next. I'm just like watching this guy like go about his bit. Horrible. I really don't like it. But Welcome to Wrexham, if you've watched a couple Ted Lassos, it's real life Ted Lasso. It's amazing.
all right. I
Yeah,
haven't seen it, so I'm gonna put it on the list.
20-minute episodes because I guess it was on FX, so it's one of those like 30-minute time slot, runtime 22:01 plus credits plus commercials. So like you can do three in an hour, like no problem. And like I actually haven't Googled it because like I'm in like 2021 or something like that
Yeah,
for like where the season is. So obviously stuff actually happened, and like I
yeah.
don't want to know because it's like I want to be surprised if they win games or they advance or get relegated or whatever. So yeah, it's really cool.
That was like what. That's how the Formula One show worked for me because I had no idea what the results were. And I was
No
like,
idea.
okay,
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
add it to the list. I'm still on Sopranos. I'm in season 3 now, and this is it.
Squeeze
Think
in
about
Rex.
how. I'm sorry.
Squeeze in Wrexham. It'd be good to talk
I'll add,
about.
I'll add it to the list. I got nothing else.
That's it.
And we got to work
Bills.
on how to end the shows. We don't know how to end them, but that's okay.
You know, it's. I think our listeners just drop off, and we're gonna just drop off too.
All right, I'm hanging up.
All right. See you, buddy.
Thanks for listening.